Now, the Dutch government says it will appeal a court ruling to stop exports of warplane spare parts to Israel. The announcement came hours after Dutch judges upheld an appeal by human rights organisations. They argued that helping to maintain the F-35 stealth jets contributed to Israel's violations of international law. The ruling says the Netherlands needs to stop exporting any parts destined for Israel within 7 days. The parts are American-owned but stored in Dutch warehouses ready for shipping. The F-35 is widely regarded as the world's most advanced warplane. Israel was the first international buyer of the US jets in 2016. It's also the only country in the Middle East to fly them. The Israeli Air Force has dozens of F-35s. Its latest purchase was in July, 25 jets financed by $3 billion in US military aid. The Israeli squadrons are due to be reinforced in 3 batches beginning in 2027. Let's go to Step Vaessen, who joins us live in The Hague. And Step, how much of a difference do we assume this ruling there will make?
Well, this is definitely seen as a landmark ruling by the appeal court in The Hague, because it's the first time that the court is ordering a state to stop sending weapons to Israel. During the 30-minute verdict, the judge dismissed all the arguments by the Dutch state, saying that they needed to continue to send these spare parts, talking about political motives, the very strong ties the Netherlands has with the US, but also with Israel that could be jeopardized, but also economic ties, because, of course, it's an interesting export product. But it was all dismissed because the judge said that there is a serious risk that these weapons are used and that there are very strong risks that the international humanitarian laws is seriously being violated by Israel in Gaza. And I'm right here at the Oxfam office, one of the rights organizations who have filed the case, and I'm talking to the director, Michiel Servaes, about this verdict. How significant do you see this verdict by the court in The Hague looking at the war in Gaza right now?
Yeah, well, I think it's very significant, and I'm happy that the court was so clear also in its ruling today. I'm hopeful that it will change the behaviors of my own government, the Dutch government, and it must, because they need to obey by this ruling. I also hope that it's a turning point, that governments in Europe or elsewhere who have supported Israel so far will look themselves in the mirror and realize that they are, in fact, co-responsible or even complicit of the violations taking place in Gaza as we speak, basically.
Some say it could also be used as a precedent for other groups like yours, like Oxfam, in other countries, because we know other countries like Germany are still supplying weapons to Israel as well. And what do you know about this?
Yes, well, we have been in contact with many other groups, including other Oxfams, also in countries, but also other non-governmental organizations who have been following our court case from the beginning. We started somewhere in November, and I received numerous messages today of people first congratulating us, of course, with this important win in court, but also immediately asking for all the information so they can use it in their own countries to pressure their own governments to change those policies there.
The main objective, of course, was to relieve the suffering of the people in Gaza. How do you see this verdict now affecting the civilians in Gaza right now?
Well, that's difficult to see and to say at this moment. I would say especially today with all the horrible news we again hear from Rafah and from other places in Gaza. I have colleagues there, Oxfam colleagues who work in Gaza, who are currently based as refugees in Rafah. At least for today, this news that I could bring for them was a little bit of hope, a little bit of light, a little bit of realizing that people in other places are thinking about them. I don't think it will change the situation on the ground immediately, but I hope that this verdict here in the Netherlands is a turning point in the behaviors of our governments here, and that makes it possible to put much, much more pressure on Israel to stop the attacks there in Gaza.
Thank you very much for joining us here in the program. What we know is that these F-35s have a very high maintenance. It is said that 1 hour of flying needs 3 hours of maintenance and that there is a shortage of these spare parts. What is now expecting to happen is that Israel will need to find some other suppliers, and it's more likely that this is coming from the US. But the US, of course, is much further away, and it will definitely be leading to a scramble to make sure that these F-35s can still fly to Gaza from Israel.
Vaessen in The Hague, many thanks.